statements in C++ programming language. As we know, usually a C++ program starts with the preprocessor directives. We are using a hash include statement to bring different header files which specifies the information of predefined identifiers and functions. Then we have to use namespace statement. So using namespace or std we will write. So the namespace std we are using in C++ programming language while writing C++ program, which gives information regarding C in and C out. Then we will start main function, where we will write different types of statements to solve problems. So program begins from the statements that are in main function and ends with the statements that are there in the same function. So that is why we have to learn what are the different statements we have to use to solve different problems by writing C++ program. We know that statements are nothing but collection of words, we can say that is token, which convey a complete sense or meaning, and all the words are arranged with the help of a logic of grammar. Same way in C++ programming language also we are using different sentences or statements by which we can solve different problems. What are the different statements we have to discuss from this particular chapter or syllabus? See, they are declaration statement, then input statement, output statement, and assignment statement. And two more are there. They are selection statement and looping statement. We can discuss it later. Declaration statement. See, that is one of the statements we have to use in C++ programming language. Statements used to declare a variable are called a declaration statement. A statement used to declare variables are called a declaration statement. Why we have to declare a variable? Because we have to tell in advance about the nature of the variable before we are going to write the program. Means variables are the symbols that represents or characters that represents a memory location where we can store data. So data will be referred by the program with the help of a variable. So that is why variable should be declared in advance. Means we have to say in advance name of the variable and which data or what type of data will be stored in the variable. So that statement is known as declaration statement. That is why when we are declaring a statement, we have to say name of the variable as well as type of the variable. So what type of data will be stored in that particular memory location. Example, end n, comma, num, semicolon you can see. So end n, num, semicolon, that is a statement because we know it well. In our language we will stop a statement with the help of a full stop. Just like that in C++ program, while writing a sentence we have to stop with the help of a semicolon. It is a punctuator. So end n, comma, num means n and nums are variables declared in advance by specifying end data can be stored or can be accepted by that particular variable. So end n, comma, num means N and NUMs are the variables where we can store in the data type. Next, you see that float rad, comma area, semicolon. So here two variables declared. We are telling in advance about two variables rad and area, where we can store floating point numbers, decimal numbers. So another is nothing but signed in the A, comma B, comma C. So A, B, C are declared, identified, what is signed. Okay, these are the different examples by which we can write a declaration statement. In some situation, we have to assign a value while declaring the variable itself. That is known as variable initialization statement. We are initializing value for the variable while declaring the variable itself. That is nothing but variable initialization statement. Means assigning value to a variable along with the declaration statement. Along with the declaration statement, that is known as variable initialization statement. The example in the n is equal to 10 means while declaring the variable itself, we are assigning a value to that memory space. In the n is equal to 10, initially n is 10. Remember, that value can be changed with the help of writing different statements while running the program or while using the program. So that value means now n is equal to 10, that value can be changed later with the help of many operations. But in some situation, demands the value given for a variable never be changed. Example, the value of pi 3.14. So as long as the program runs, so long as the value of that variable should be 3.14. See how we can make it out, how we can create such type of sentence. For that we can use a keyword const you can use. So example, I can say const int n is equal to 10 semicolon. At that time the value of n will never be changed as long as the variable n will be there in the memory, so long as value of that variable will be 10. With the help of any operation, we cannot do changes for the value n is equal to 10. Next, input statement. While writing the program, we have to give data to the program. We have to make provision to give data to the program to perform different operation. So using input statement, we can give data to the program for processing. So what is meant by input statement? Statement that allow user to store data in memory location are called input statements. So input statement provide provision to enter data to the program. So while entering the data, which input device we are going to use? Keyboard. So that is why we should identify keyboard. For that we have a predefined identifier CN. And using which operator we can input data? We can use extraction operator or get from operator. Data can be get from input device. Data can be get from a keyboard. So CN is nothing but a predefined identifier which represent the object keyboard, and the operator get from can be used for performing input action, and where we have to give the data, where we can store the data into a memory. So three things we have to identify. CN represent keyboard, operator get from, and a variable required to store the data. So example for an input statement is cin represents the input object, and operator get from is the operator that makes the operation, that controls the operation of accepting the data or storing the data into the variable anywhere. Clear that? So cin get from num, semicolon, you can see semicolon represents the termination of the sentence or statement. Okay, next flavor, another flavor you can see cin, input operator a variable, input operator b, and then c another variable. In a single line itself we had used 3 variables, means we can store data simultaneously in different variables. To make that provision, we can write all the variables in a single line. So it is known as cascading. cin a, input operator b, input operator c, semicolon. Otherwise, how we have to write cin a semicolon, cin b semicolon, cin c semicolon. 3 lines we have to use. Instead of that, we can write the statement by keeping the variables in a single line. Few facts you have to keep in your mind while using input statement. Few facts, what are that? See here, first operand is the predefined identifier cin. First operand cin should be the first operand which represents the input device keyboard. See, that is very important. And second operand is strictly a variable. Second operand is strictly a variable because with the help of input device we have to store a value into a variable. That is why second operand should be strictly a variable. So for example, we can see that cin input operator 25, is it correct? No, it is not at all correct, because as far as the conditions are concerned, the second operand should be a variable. Here 25 is not a variable, it is constant. That is why we will get error. That is the violation of the fact. Output statement. So we had seen that how can we write a statement for giving data to a program for processing. Now how can we bring the data from the memory to show the output through the output devices? For that we can write output statement. Statement give the output to the user through output devices are called output statement. The statement give the output to the user. How can we see the result? Through the output devices we can see the result. Through the monitor, for example, through the monitor. To show the output through the monitor to the user, we have to write the statement in C++ program. That is nothing but output statement. Few facts we have to remember. See, one among this is the first operand is the predefined identifier Cout, which represent the output device. What is that? A display unit. The first operand should be a predefined identifier Cout, which represents the display unit and or output unit. The second operand be either a constant or a variable or an expression. Little bit of innovation. The outputs, by writing output statement or by framing output statement, the first operand should be Cout. Next we have to write output operator. Next operand may be either a constant or a variable or an expression. Let us see a few examples for that. Cout of hello. Using Cout hello, directly you can show hello, the string constant hello, through the display unit. Another example, Cout area. Area is a variable term. That area may consist some value. the value stored in the variable can be displayed through the monitor. Another, for example, C out A plus B plus C, that is an expression. A plus B plus C returns a value. Remember, expressions can return value. That value will be displayed through the monitor. And for example, you can see if you are going to print a C out at 25, the number 25 itself will be displayed through the monitor. So these are the different flavors. Directly we can print a constant. Directly you can show values that are there in a variable, or you can use expression as the second operand of output statement. Expression returns value, that value will be displayed through the display unit. And another important flavor is cout, string constant sum of will be displayed at first. Thereafter n, the value stored in n will be displayed. Thereafter again a string constant numbers equal to will be displayed. Thereafter value that is there in SUM will be displayed. So this is nothing but a method by which we can make the program more communicative. Assignment statement. The statement that contains equal operator is called assignment statement. It's very simple, By reading that, we may feel that it's very simple. But remember, computer can be used for doing different process. With the help of assignment operator, we can make different statements by which we can perform different operation or different process. So the statement that contains equal operator is called assignment statement. Example, n is equal to 25. So actually we are assigning 25 to n. N is a variable and 25 is a constant. 25 will be stored in n. Now n has the value 25. So we can assign a single value to a variable. Another example, you can see that area is equal to 3.14 into radius or RAD into RAD. Semicolon is there. So that is nothing but another assignment statement, because in that particular statement we can see assignment operator. So after performing the operation, 3.14 into value stored in RAD into value stored in RAD will be stored in the variable area. So we can do some process and the output will be stored in a variable. So it is also an assignment statement. Now another flavor, A is equal to B is equal to C. The value of C will be stored in B and the value of B will be stored in A, which A, B and C has same values. So these are few examples for assignment statement. Some facts you have to keep in your mind while using assignment statement. See, they are operand to the left of equal should be a variable. The operand at the left of the equal should be a variable. See, n is equal to 25. N, that is a variable, and we can store a value to a variable n. See, and the second example you can see area, that is a variable. Value returned by 3.14 into RAD will be stored in the variable area. So that is why the operand to the left of equal should be a variable. Another, the operand after equal operator may be a variable or a constant or an expression. N is equal to 25. See, which is the value after assignment operator? That is a constant. We can store a constant into a variable, or value returned by an expression will be stored in a variable. So at the right side of assignment operator, that should be a constant or an expression or a variable. One more point I have to highlight here, cascading, the word cascading. See here, use of or multiple use of assignment operator, input operator and output operator in a single statement is called cascading. Example, A is equal to B is equal to C. We are using assignment operator in a single statement. So that is one of the example. Another, C in input operator A, input operator B, then C and semicolon. In a single statement itself we are using the get from operator. So that is another example for cascading statement or cascading style. Then another, Cout sum of n numbers equal to again sum. Here I had used the output operator. Few facts you have to remember. Just see the example. Cout, the number is, then operator, just to have a look upon that. Cout, output operator, number is input operator num. So definitely this is the way we cannot write in C++ programming language. Usually students are committing those mistakes. So that is why such type of statements are not at all allowed in C++ programming statement. We discussed about different types of statements in C++ program. So statements are declaration statement, input statement, output statement and assignment statement. So many facts you have to keep in your mind while preparing programs, and framing sentence is not at all a simple task. It is definitely a tedious task. Then statements are nothing but the soul of every program. So that is why prepare the statements properly. Learn what are the uses of different statements and do prepare a good program. Okay.